From what we all know, life began when God created man and all other living creatures. You can trace the beginning of the world to the book of Genesis, chapter 1. But have you ever taken a moment to wonder what the entire universe looked like before God created our world? Remember, God said, "Let us create man in our own image." That should tell you that there were some beings before us. Yes, the celestial life didn't begin from the book of Genesis 1. Some events had unfolded before God created the world. These events explain the beginning of angels, the war in heaven, the fall of Lucifer, and how evil entered the world. If you're curious to know the unwritten pages before Genesis 1 precisely, what happened before the creation of the world, sit back and watch this video to the end. You will be amazed by what you'll discover. The book of Genesis chapter 1 details how God created the earth and all its inhabitants. The creation story started from the creation of light to the creation of man. But before God created man, he made a powerful statement in Genesis 1:26. The Bible verse says, "Then God said, 'Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground.'" Using the pronoun "us" here gives an idea of a group of beings. So while God was creating the earth, he was not alone. He was with other celestial beings. But who are they? When did God create them? Obviously, the creation story didn't start with Genesis 1. Though the book of Genesis didn't give further information about this, other Bible verses make up for the missing gaps. One of them is the book of Job. Job was a very prosperous man. He had everything that a man could desire because God blessed him. Also, he feared the Lord. He makes sacrifices every time to plead God's forgiveness for the sins of his children and himself. He was so perfect that God noticed him. Job 1:6-7 says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." The above scripture gives a hint of the us mentioned in the first chapter of Genesis. According to this verse, they must be the sons of God, otherwise known as angels. This was further confirmed when Job faced tribulations and calamity. He felt that God must have abandoned him, and therefore called on him to know why he was suffering. Eventually, God replied him in Job 38:4-7. It says, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set, or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and all the angels shouted for joy." From here, we can conclude that the us mentioned in Genesis 1 can be called the morning stars, angels, or the sons of God. These sons of God were created before God laid the foundation of the earth. This then raises the question of who Satan was. Could he have been one of the sons of God? If yes, how did he become evil? Ezekiel 28:13-15 sheds light on these questions. It says, "Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee." From the above scripture, we can see that Satan was once one of the sons of God. He was one of the cherubim, the highest rank of angels in heaven. And not just one of them, but God created him with every precious stone. He was also an angel that covered the light of God. This angel was a magnificent being. But then, he thought in his mind to overthrow God. To turn his plan into a reality, he convinced 1/3 of God's angels to his side. Then, he began to plan a great rebellion against God. However, God knew about his plans before they could materialize. This led to a war between the angels of God and those who fell to Lucifer's camp. The idea of this war can be skimmed from the book of Isaiah 51:9, which says, "Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. Art thou not it that hath cut Rahab and wounded the dragon?" The phrase, "in the generation of old," also confirms that a generation of beings existed before ours in Genesis 1. It further shows that this war had happened before the creation of the earth. Thus, this passage is a perfect description of the war that happened in heaven between some angels, Lucifer and God. The book of Revelations also gave the same description of Lucifer. Revelation 12:7-9 says, "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So, God overcame the devil, but didn't destroy him yet. Instead, he sent him out of heaven with his angels. The devil and his angels entered the earth and dominated it. This can be deduced when the devil tempted Jesus, saying that he owns all the kingdoms of the world and all its splendor. No wonder God had to cast out darkness before he could begin the work of creation. However, the devil won't watch man take his place in the presence of God. Thus he entered Eden and deceived the woman. This conversation was the beginning of sin in man. But before God created man, evil was already existing. The man was only a tool the devil wanted to use to achieve his age-long desire to overcome God. This desire existed before the creation of the world. While we now know that the sons of God already existed in heaven, and some fallen angels roamed in the thick darkness of our world before our creation, there remains a mystery to be unraveled. It is the mystery of the fallen angels. Since God refused to destroy them, are they living here on earth with us? How can they be identified? This can be found in the book of Genesis. Genesis 6:4 says, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown." Since the angels in heaven were the sons of God, the sons of God mentioned in this verse must be referring to the fallen angels. Angels are meant to live in heaven, not earth. The only form of angels living on earth were those that fell with the devil. They saw the daughters of men and married them. This led to the birth of beings that were known as giants or Nephilim. These Nephilim are not ordinary humans. They are mixed breeds, products of the celestial and the natural. According to that verse, they are powerful men and well known. The devil must have propagated the fusion of the fallen angels and man to stop the birth of the Messiah. However, God stopped that plan by destroying that generation with the flood. Even though men were destroyed, the fallen angels and the devil still existed as spirits. God allowed them to exist because he had fixed their destruction for a certain time. He had prepared a place for them before the creation of the world. You will find this in the book of Matthew 25:41, which says, "Then he will say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.'" Therefore, it is clear that God didn't create hell for any man. However, whoever chooses to do the bidding of the devil and his fallen angels will find themselves there. If you are curious to know more events that happened in the Bible, make sure you watch more videos on the channel. Thank you for joining us today. As we conclude our journey through the wonders of the Word, remember that faith is a light that guides us through life's darkest moments. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more enlightening content. Keep walking in faith, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, may God's blessings shine upon you.